One of the things that I really liked about the script was that it was kind of the opposite of like John Wick's story, in the sense that John Wick is trying to get out. This was a story about a person that was deciding and wanting to get in and become an assassin. So that fascinated me because we've seen different iterations of the assassin who's either already a legend or trying to get out. John Wick being one of the best of that, in my opinion. But not very often do you get to see somebody who wants in. And what does that mean about that person? Like, what makes a person decide, you know what, I think I should become an assassin? And what mentally is going on there to get to that point? It's twofold with Eve, because it has vengeance in it, but it's also a connection to her father in terms of a surrogate family. She no longer has a family, and so there's the want of family. It's also a connection with where her father, trained. So it's one place feels like maybe this could be a second home, but also I really am pained and want revenge for what happened. This film, you're able to see, kind of taking a peek behind the curtain of how the Ruska Roma operates, because again, we have Eve coming into it from the beginning. And seeing how one is trained to become an assassin. So what Eve goes through, you can kind of imagine that through her journey in Ruska Roma, that this is possibly what John Wick would have had to go through in some of his training. So it kind of gives you a window into the possibility of what he might have gone through in his journey for that. If you're coming in from that point of view of somebody who's totally brand new to it, and experiencing how they train, how they move up the ranks, and a really, really brutal boarding school. John Wick and Eve, they both suffered loss. And so there's a commonality there. They cross paths hardcore. John Wick is on his way out of all the ramifications and consequences that he's been through. And Eve is just beginning to go down that road. So there's understanding, but also a warning of, advice. I don't want to say bigger brother, but in terms of real life, of a bigger brother's been through it and says, just understand what you're getting yourself into if you go down this path. The thing that was absolutely wonderful about Ana within the training, because it's a lot of work. It's so brutal. You're a character that's beginning this path. You're becoming an assassin. So you're also going to get your ass kicked. You're going to get thrashed. And she's like, cool, okay, cool, I'm in. And like we'd on set, it would be, she'd show up, show me the bruises, the marks, the scars, and they became like merit badges. She's like, I'm like, this is what it is. And the thing that she is wonderful at, and I think a lot of people don't really think about this too often, of you can really have the choreography down, have perfect choreography, but if it feels like you are remembering it and even doing a brilliant job, a lot of times the acting is secondary to remembering the choreography, and she is acting all through that, which is, for a director, amazing. Norman was an idea of mine from the very beginning. I've worked with Norman before, and I just have always liked his style and energy, and he has a very specific quality about him that I think just fits in the John Wick world. You go Norman Reedus in John Wick universe? Yeah. Eve Macarro is a blast, and you love to hear him say, like, speak and say anything. He just has a way with words, and there's the way that he holds himself, and he's brilliant. So you get kind of lost in his performance, and just the nuances he gives to it are so engaging and so powerful, and they sound so profound. He's also a real laugh. Like, he's got a wicked sense of humor. He knows the character so well, and it would be as much fun of shooting with him as just the catching up and stories from him. I told Angelica this is going to be a little darker of side of the director, and she's just like, okay. I love that, and she's so darling. She's phenomenal to work with. Lance Reddick, who's such a wonderful human being. That's incredibly sad. He's a beautiful person to work with, and he was a joy. He's also he was such a geek fan of the genre, and comes with all these interesting ideas, and it was heartbreaking. He was wonderful. Keanu is one of the coolest and most professional actors I've ever worked with. He's immensely dedicated. I'd never met Keanu. It's surprisingly, in all these, I've never come across him socially, and so I know as we all do, like, his reputation of being one of the coolest to work with that has ever been created. I don't know how else to say it. I loved working with him. The entire stunt crew is fantastic. Not only are they lovely human beings, but and I've known some of them from the past, and I've worked with a couple of them, but not as the team, as the official, like, John Wick team. They have a cleverness within the choreography. There's a wit within it that if an action sequence, especially in this kind of film, if an action sequence can also make you smile while going, that is hardcore, but also I'm smiling because I'm enjoying. It's fun too because it's clever. And they have very clever ideas. I mean, the inspiration behind a lot of the action is really, it starts from a place, at least with me, of like, what have we not seen? The ice skates. I had this idea of, I went and bought some skates and put them on my hand, like, how would they fit into I put blood on them. I would do these little videos. And love the idea of how fun would it be. She uses these ice skates as gauntlets. That's pretty brutal. So that that informs then the sequence of that's a new weapon. So then that's going to take place. Where would she find skates? Well, she would find them in a boathouse, so that kind of evolves that way. And then with the flamethrower sequence, the grenade sequence, there was we've seen flamethrowers in films before, never a close quarters flamethrower battle like a gunfight. Same thing with the grenades. Again, have we seen grenades in film? Yes, okay. But what if we did grenades that was more like a snowball fight, and a close quarters grenade just fight? And so if you find either the environment or kind of mix certain things together, then your action sequence is just it's gonna inherently be different. So that's one of the things, at least that I look for, is what's the unique idea behind it first. I think what you're gonna love is that it's a lot of fun. It's a new take on a different perspective of coming into the assassin world, because this is a character that is beginning, is starting, is wanting to become an assassin. So that's a very different entry point, which allows just a fun way to look at the world from a different view. And the action is incredible, like sequences that we've never seen before. And that's something that's very important to me. What have I not seen before? It has a lot of intense, insane action. And it's also within the action journey. There's a mystery that is very interesting, I think, as well. It's clever. It's got a twisted wit to it. I think they're gonna love what Ana does and how she plays this character, and they're gonna have a good time.